Bienvenue à tous and welcome to the closing ceremony of the 5th edition of Paris Peace Forum. I'm sorry to you that I'm showing you my back, but I've been directed to look this way. This year's overarching theme was riding out the multi-crisis that we're facing. Over the 2 days, we have had exemplary speakers come and tell us, one, what are the multi-crises we are facing, from COVID to food insecurity to energy crisis to the war. But also critically, being reminded of the space we are in, which is Paris. We had really strong speakers from the global south come here and tell us their concerns, tell us how they look at this war and how the war is affecting them. So we hope that you have enjoyed the 2 days of the forum. And with that, I want to throw it off to the best of what you have experienced over the last 2 days. And after that, we will hear from the Director General and the founder of the forum, Justin Weiss. Thank you so much. Welcome to the 5th edition of the Paris Peace Forum.
The Paris Peace Forum is a unique event where we're able to meet very diverse type of organizations, practitioners, and it's a real pleasure to be here today.
Una demanda de transformaciones que, si se quiere, tendrían que ser radicales.
The engine of hope remains our ability to imagine something new, something different.
The Paris Peace Forum has brought together people from all over the world, from all corners of the continent. I have learned so much from the forum, and I'm really proud to be here.
The lesson of this 5th edition is that peace and solving global problems go hand in hand. If we have a level of peace, then we can address the planet challenges. And if we do that, then we advance the chances for peace.
On a besoin de réformer nos institutions. Vous avez très bien dit. Travail international qui ne représente plus, comme elles ne sont plus le reflet d'un équilibre, elles deviennent inefficaces.
The Paris Peace Forum is not just about ideas, initiatives, what we should do, but how we do it with concrete solutions, getting things done. That's our brand, and I'm happy about that.
Well, thank you, because if you thought that was impressive, you all, our partners, you, our project leaders, help us make that montage possible. So thank you. Justin, I want to ask you your reflections. We had an ambitious theme, multi-crisis, dealing with it. Yesterday, I was particularly moved by the panel that President Macron put together, where one of the panelists, Comfort Arrow, said, you want us to respect the sovereignty of a country that is under attack. Yes, on est d'accord. But with that, you should also respect the sovereignty of countries with how they choose to respond to the crisis. So can you tell me, from a position of the forum, how has the forum responded to the war, and what have we seen over these 2 days in terms of conclusions regarding that?
Thank you, Trisha. First, it's good to be back in a closing ceremony, as we've done over the years. 4 times already. It's the 5th time. It's the 5th edition. So really happy to do that and to find that wonderful crowd of the Paris Peace Forum. I think this year was special because of the certainly because of the war in Ukraine, but in a way it was not so special because we know there have been wars in Africa, in the Middle East, and elsewhere, and this one has no precedence over the others. What I think is one of the takeaways of this 5th edition is the relationship between being able to further global dialogue and encourage discussions and negotiations of peace on the one hand, and the work we're doing on global governance on the other hand. That is to say, solving global problems we know that without a dose of peace, a dose of the ability to coordinate, we won't be able to do that, because simply geopolitics will prevail and will be an obstacle to global governance. And so that's why we've emphasized this year with, for example, the Venezuela negotiation, the dialogue on space with China and the US, and other side discussions that we've not talked about because they need to remain discreet. But I think if there was something this year, it was this emphasis on furthering peace more directly as a way to enable our working on global solutions.
Okay, thank you. So Pascal, whom we will hear from shortly, said in the video that we just saw, Paris Peace Forum is about getting things done. So now that we're at the conclusion on the 5th edition of the forum, what can we say we have concretely done, the impact of which that will live on after today's day?
Yeah, that's really important, because as you know, we thought of the Paris Peace Forum not as a conference, but really as a place where we get things done. So we present projects, we launch initiatives, we gather coalitions, etc. Well, the projects, they're all around us, and here on the first floor or second floor as well. And I think they've been excellent projects. Many of you have been in previous editions. We've reduced the overall number of projects. Remember that the first year, 2018, we had more than 120 projects, which honestly was a bit too much because we couldn't give enough attention to each of them. I think this year with these 60 plus 10 projects, we've had a wonderful crop of projects, and they're one of the pillars, I would say, of what we want to achieve. But of course, we want to go further, and that's the whole work that we're doing on coalition building and launching new initiatives. First, we keep our eyes on the ball. So when we launch something, we do the follow-up. A good example was the launch of the Children Online Protection Lab on Thursday night. So it was really before the forum really began. It was at the Élysée, where we did the follow-up to last year's call to action on protecting children online with companies, tech companies and NGOs working together. So inventing this lab, which will be a way to find methods and ways to protect children online. So we keep our eyes on the ball. I'll do it. We also keep our eyes on what we launched a year ago, the Net Zero Space Initiative. We had the panel just a couple of hours ago. More than 50 signatories have joined us. Same for the Paris Call for Trust and Security in Cyberspace, the oldest of all the coalitions we have, 2018. More than 1,200 signatories, 82 governments, 700 companies, and more. So cybersecurity is really important. We have had a couple of panels on the Global Commission on Climate Overshoot, which is chaired by Pascal and made up of 15 commissioners from around the world, especially from the Global South, working on what happens when we overshoot 1.5 degrees, which unfortunately seems more likely than not. So what do we do next? And lastly, something that we launched just 2 hours ago, which is really the new initiative of 2022, which is the initiative on critical minerals. As you know, the green transition requires a lot of minerals. There are 6 times more minerals in an electric vehicle than in a regular car, and I could give you lots of numbers, like the fact that we'll extract from Earth more in the next 30 years than we've extracted from the beginning of humanity. So we should not replace one problem with another, and so we launched this initiative in order to reinforce norms, in order to raise awareness on this issue of critical minerals, and we'll be working throughout the year on these things. I'm too long, but there are too many things that we're doing, but I think we have a really good crop for 2022.
So if people want to find out more about everything that you have said, they can get this information on our website?
Absolutely, and also see the replay, for example, of the launch on the initiative on critical minerals online.
Okay, perfect. So for those of us who've been here in this journey for the past 5 years, we know that we had a different venue that we went to every year. This year there is a new venue, a very impressive venue at the heart of Paris. So can we expect to come back again to this venue, and why should people come back for the 6th edition?
I think, I mean, it's for you to judge, and please tell us after the edition if you liked this place compared with La Villette. Of course, it's smaller. It's more tricky to get around and to find one's way in this building. But I think we were pretty convinced that it was a nice home for the Paris Peace Forum. La Villette was very nice. Many people told me, oh, it's too bad. I really liked what La Villette was, and also the sort of more grandiose space. But here is more chic, as we say in France, and also all the, I hope you've been in round tables. So it has allowed us to test new formats of discussion which we didn't have before and which I think are really worthwhile. So I think we'll stay at the Palais Brongniart. However, there might be a change, which is not the location but the date. As many of you know, the COP summits used to move to float between October and December. Now they've sort of pretty much set on the first 2 weeks of November. And so it will be the case in Dubai, it will be the case in Seoul, pretty much the same dates, and they conflict with the forum. And since we want to be complementary rather than in a sort of scheduled conflict with the COP, we might change the date. And so any suggestion from you, from the Paris Peace Forum community, will be good. But no matter what, no matter under which form, we'll be here next year and the year before, and as long as there will be needs for global governance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for setting the tone of what people can expect. And as usual, you can follow and get all the up-to-date information on our social media pages, which is Paris Peace Forum. With that, I would like to invite the president of the Paris Peace Forum, Pascal Lamy, and Pascal's successor, Angel Gurria. So the second section of this session, we want to talk to you about the Scale-Up Committee, the Scale-Up Initiative. And Pascal, could you, for those who have no idea what SCUP means, we have so many acronyms here that are thrown around in international conferences. What does SCUP mean? Why is it important for us? And why are we closing the forum with that? What is its significance?
Well, yes, we have a SCUP, scale-up process, which is one of the ways we try to succeed in getting things done. So, as Justin said, we have a crop during spring that leads to a selection of those who are there. Then, and we will go to that in a minute, 10 of them get selected for having the chance, the honor, the pleasure to be scoped. Being scoped means that if you are selected, you enter an incubator, a process which we run within the Paris Peace Forum and which helps the projects that have been selected to get visibility, expertise, advice, sometimes finance, not from our pocket, because our pocket is very small, but we can reach out to people who then get interested into this one. So the SCOP is the way we transform a good project into a proper impact. That's the concept of the SCOP. And we'll see now the project that will go into the SCOP process from the moment they've been selected tonight.
Okay, perfect. Angel, do you want to have a quick word before I... Okay, perfect. All right. So before I go to the SCUP part, we already have some project leaders here that have been part of our Scale-Up initiative. If you don't mind, could you just raise your hands? So we have them there. The reason I'm asking, there's someone there, is don't take our word for it. Go speak to them and ask them what their experience has been and if it's been worthwhile. I think that's the best testimony you could get. So with that, I want to announce this year's 10 selected project winners who will get the tailored mentorship and support. When I take your name, please do us all a favor and just stand up so we can know who you are. They can come to you, they can speak to you and get to know more about your work and how they can support you. And at the very end, we will have you all up on stage to take a group picture and felicitate you all. So the first project that we are choosing to be part of our Scale-Up initiative is the Joint Environment Venture for South Asia, led by Conciliation Resources. They are somewhere. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in catalyzing climate and environmental solutions and building a broad coalition across India-Pakistan borders and a space for scientists. I think science truly needs to bind people and countries together. So thank you. You can reach out to them to find out more about their work. Thank you so much. The second project that we're honoring is African Farmers as Climate Entrepreneurs, led by Climate Action Platform for Africa. It's the country of origin in Kenya. This project aims to provide viable business models for African smallholder farmers to adopt a range of climate-smart regenerative agriculture practices whose carbon impact is tracked and translated into a revenue model. So this is the person you go to ask how you can support the work that they're doing. Thank you. The next project is the Global Index on Responsible AI, led by Research ICT Africa. The country of origin is South Africa. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing to measure the evolution of commitment and progress on the implementation of responsible AI practices with a coalition of over 120 countries. Right? So I think you still need more support. So yes, thank you so much for the work that you are doing. The fourth project that we have is Q-Lever, Solution to Fight Online Hate, led by Equal Rights and Independent Media. The country of origin is France. They are promoting critical thinking to strengthen resilience of young people in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, especially amongst the most vulnerable in rural and urban populations. Thank you for the work that you are doing. Pascal, over to you to announce the other.
So, thanks, Trisha. The fifth project is Empathia. AI Empathia is about using artificial intelligence to solve public issues in Latin America, 6 AI projects in 5 countries in Latin America, which use machine learning to try and solve public issues problem. Congratulations. The 6th project, which has been selected, is from the UK. Vested impact, measuring impact to finance the future. So, a startup which collects millions of data in order to help evaluating the footprint, the environmental footprint, the human rights footprint of companies who need to show that they have a good footprint. Thanks for collecting this data. The number 7 is from US, the ICRW, as we know it, the International Center for Research on Women, which is a project about how do you build a feminist foreign policy. That's the topic. And congratulations, because, I mean, I've been in these issues for quite a long time, and I wish there is a more feminist foreign policy everywhere. Your turn.
So now, the winner, number 8. This is, the country of origin is Romania. It's for the whole of Europe, and it's a humanitarian assistance digital infrastructure led by Commit Global. Congratulations. This is Commit Global has built in record time, a unique, this is very important, a unique digital ecosystem to assist Ukrainian refugees if entering Romania. Now, that's the if is completely irrelevant because they have entered by the millions, actually, in Romania with their needs for official information, verified housing, resources, healthcare, educational services, they built a coalition of partners with the Romanian government, the UNHCR, the UN Commission for Refugees, the IOM, the International Organization of Migration, and other relevant NGOs. So congratulations. Eh? Now, project number 9, Yuhusia. Where are we? There you are. Led by Biladi, la protection du patrimoine lors des urgences. Yuhusia, this is a country of origin is Lebanon. Its region of implementation is for the whole of the Middle East, and it belongs to the category of managing the fallout of the multi-crisis on populations. Yuhusia is a national program for the protection of the heritage in emergency situations. It aims to create a multidisciplinary team, which means army, firemen, professionals, etc., trained in heritage rescue operations. The beneficiaries of the program are army officers and employees of museums, libraries, archives, and archaeological sites. And let me just say, the Beirut blast was the first mission. So that's when they started. Congratulations. And now, managing the fallout of the multi-crisis on populations, again, from France. Region of implementation is for the whole of the world, and that this is PRESOD. Congratulations. Preventing, it's a strange name, but it's about preventing zoonotic disease emergence, and it's led by CIRAD. Congratulations, and PRESOD is an international multi-actor initiative supported by the quadripartite driving. Improved prevention, early detection, resilience to rapidly respond to emerging infectious diseases of animal origin while breaking down silos between One Health sectors and actors. And I just have to say, there will be a next pandemic, and we will be better prepared because of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, may I please invite all the project leaders up on stage. And I remind you all, you can go on the website of the Paris Peace Forum, where their projects will be highlighted, and you can know more about their work, you can know how to support their work, and please do that. So can you please have the project leaders up on stage? Je pense avoir besoin de... I can take... Do you want this in the picture? So we're doing two types of photos. The voice of God has spoken to me. One official, serious picture, like you mean business, and the second one that is a fun picture about how, you know, you're having fun while you're doing the work as well. So this is the official picture time. The fun picture time. Fun picture. After the leave. Thank you. Thank you so much again. Truly, it's you that brings substance to the forum. And I also want to say to the projects that have not been part of this CUP initiative, you all have brought incredible support and substance to the forum. So thank you to all the projects that have been here amongst us. And thank you to all of you as well again. Can I now have Justin Weiss back on stage?
Thank you. So I wanted to say a word about the governance of the Paris Peace Forum. As you know, we are really a garden variety NGO in France. It's called une association de loi 1901. And from the beginning, we've been made up of organizations. And from the beginning, the idea is that we would have organizations at equal level of the global north and the global south. Now, I know that these concepts are very contested, are very controversial, but we still use them because we don't find better replacement for them. And what we have is a mix of organizations from Europe, but also from Indonesia, India, Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America, which make up this association and jointly make decisions about the editorial line of the forum, about the processes that we use to select projects, about the initiatives we launch, about the political program, etc. And obviously, like in any organization, we have a rotation of leaders, and so we have a president, we have several vice presidents, and we make a decision based on rules that are agreed. And the reason I wanted to mention this was because from the start, the executive committee of the association decided that we would have a rotation between a president from the north and a president from the south. And so after several years of serving the Paris Peace Forum with a great prestige and a very wide network and boundless energy, Pascal Lamy is now in the last year of his presidency and will be soon replaced by André Gouria, whom you just saw. But we thought it would be unfit if we didn't send Pascal a good farewell. And so we asked a number of members of the executive committee, but also a number of his friends to come on stage and say a word about Pascal's fantastic leadership of the Paris Peace Forum. So let me welcome Dino Patidjalal from Indonesia, representing the foreign policy community of Indonesia. I'd like to have all of them on stage at the same time. Arantxa González Laya, who's part of the steering committee, a former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Spain. Then Marc Reverdin, whom most of you know, who was the founding Secretary General of the Forum until the end of 2021. Michel Duclos, who represents the Institut Montaigne. Welcome, Michel. And that's it. And so I wanted to ask all of them to say a few words on Pascal before we welcome Pascal to the stage and have him. Dino, since you have a mic, I suggest you start and say a few words.
Justin and Pascal, it's been a great pleasure of my life to be part of the steering committee of Paris Peace Forum. I think in a divided world, one of the remedies is a North-South collaboration. And if you look around the world, there's just not so many North-South collaboration as the Paris Peace Forum. And you are at the heart of it. You have, last year you made a speech that you didn't think that the Paris Peace Forum would grow this big and this significant. And what you did not mention was that it's happening because of your leadership. Let's give a big hand to Pascal. Just very quickly, 4 things that I think are great about you. One is leadership. Second, you have a human touch. It's hard to say no to you, right? Thirdly, you like solutions, practical solutions. You don't get into theories. Fourth, you have boundless energy. I know you're a marathon runner, but I just cannot understand how you find all those energy to get the Paris Peace Forum moving so fast and so big. And lastly, you're an idealist in the sense that you want to save the world, but you think you can save the world. And that idealism is infectious and very much what we all need to harness the power of the Paris Peace Forum. So we're going to miss you. Thank you, Pascal.
So first to Angel. Just let's make sure that we call him by his name. It's not Angel, it's not Angel, it's Angel. So let me get that straight first. To Pascal, this forum owes an enormous debt of gratitude to Pascal Lamy. He is someone that believes in what he does, and he certainly does believe that we need new rules to help all of us belong in this world and do this with rules of the game. And he believes that you can only do that if you are a bit more creative than old-style 20th century governance with the states. You need everyone around the table. And we mean everyone, it's everyone. Just look around you. It's everyone under one roof. I only want to mention one thing, his incredible generosity. It's legions of people, including me, but I'm sure there are thousands around us that owe a lot to his generosity, to his commitment, and to his work tirelessly to make this a little bit of a better place. So on behalf of all of us, Pascal, merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Arantxa. Marc, and we'll finish by
Pascal. Pascal, I met you when I was still a very young diplomat, and I had much to learn. So I don't know what I preferred, if it was to be your assistant, your diplomatic advisor, or your secretary general. But in all these functions, I really had the privilege to work with you, learn a lot. We traveled a lot before the forum when it was the bid for Expo 2025. And I had the chance to see you, meeting with the heads of states, giving press conferences, speaking to a lot of very different people with such an agility, giving conferences on global governance, and it was so inspiring. I mean, I really learned so much, and I think I received many tips also for then leading, with Justin, the work of founding this forum, and I'd like to thank you, and I hope we'll continue to work with you, obviously.
Thank you, Marc. I'm now calling on Michel Duclos from Institut Montaigne.
Pascal Lamy was, for me, a legend. I mean, he was a living legend for a long time in my professional life. And this legend was that of a Frenchman and a high-level civil servant in France, but at the same time, a fantastic man of the world. He was totally international, totally cosmopolitan, fantastic at ease in Beijing, New York, Bujumbura, Lagos, Brasilia, you name it. I saw this living legend from afar as a model to be copied, and I must say that it is thanks to the Paris Peace Forum that I was able to see him from a closer distance, and in doing so, I realized that the man was fantastically up to notch. He was in line with the legend that went about him. And I took a closer look at what made this man somebody so fantastic. And the drivers, in a way, are the following. It's a combination of vision and pragmatism. And that's what impressed me most. And what struck me in his contribution to the Paris Peace Forum, much more so than or others have said, that we've discovered many things as we worked with him. He has this human quality, his openness, and his attention to discussion of ideas, and very often he calls upon all of us to broach new ideas without us having to come to him. And I think this, or these, are one of the few reasons for which the man lives up to his legend. There are probably many more, and I hope that in the next few years we'll be able to have the opportunity to understand even better the fantastic personality of Pascal Lamy, and I hope he will carry on contributing one way or another to this fantastic adventure which the Paris Peace Forum is. Thank you so much, Michel. Tricia, over to you.
Yes. I just want to say, in the very beginning, I started my tenure as the vice president of the steering committee with Pascal as the president. And when we were still sending out invitation letters to the other steering committee members, the letters went out with Pascal and Tricia. And I often wondered, I'm sure they're Googling, who is this Tricia? Because of course people know the legend that is Pascal Lamy. There's this, the Brexit explanation of Pascal. Sometimes he uses many words, sometimes he'll just make a sound to explain what he means. And yes, it took you 5 years to know how to say my name, but over the 5 years, it doesn't matter what hour of the day you messaged Pascal, you emailed Pascal, Pascal wrote back within 2 minutes with a response, a tight response, but he was always available with his time and his energy to serve the forum. And really, it's because of looking at how efficient you were and Justin was that I had very little room to not step up my act. So thank you for your leadership by actually displaying it without expecting it from us, but by displaying it so that we could emulate it. And I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
So of course, Pascal, we're not going to let you without the possibility to answer all these charges. But I wanted to say how much of a pleasure it was to be working with you. You've been straddling worlds, public and private, Europe and global, etc. And it's been wonderful working at your side. You're not leaving. That is, you will remain close to the forum. And we know you will always be at our side. We have not only presidents, but also vice presidents. And so that will be a good way to keep you working for the forum. But obviously, now is the time for you to answer all these compliments.
Well, let me first thank you for this initiative. These are very kind words. The problem with this sort of ceremony is that there are two sides. The first one is the nice one. You listen to people saying good things about you. That's great. The flip side is that sometimes you say, am I attending my funeral? So I'll try to remember the good side, which I think is the one I will do. But before asking Angel to come on stage, let me just say that I'm very proud of what we have done together. What you said is, oh, Lamy is a good guy, and he's... No. I have brought my own contribution to what the Paris Peace Forum has become, but the ones that have made it what it is you all. It is definitely a collective issue. The idea of the Paris Peace Forum is to pump on energy which exists in people like you, and believing that we can change the world. Maybe not now, maybe not fully, but that's the formidable source of energy which I've felt during these 5 years. So I am proud of you. And please believe that when I say that, I really say that with the bottom of my heart. Of course, we have a great team. And Justin, from the very beginning, has been the engineer of the Paris Peace Forum at the sort of mechanical, conceptual, day-to-day sense. And being the engineer of the Paris Peace Forum, I can tell you, is a top job. He has a formidable team. Mark assisted him from one side. Fabienne Ara. Fabienne, why don't you come on stage? Yeah. Fabienne is now his number 2, and she's done a great job since. So, and in many ways, I mean, you have on the stage people who also have a big responsibility in what we did together. Now, I'll hand the baton over to André Goria in March, as Justin said, because this is provided by our governance system. I'll be very happy to do that. We've been friends and colleagues for many, many years. I think there are many ways which we see in the same way, both in why this world is not doing well and how maybe it could do a bit better. As Justin said, I will remain as a VP of the Paris Peace Forum, so ready to keep helping. So this is definitely not a funeral, but something that has to do with the future. And please, André, come on stage. And I'll be glad to shake your hand once more in March.
Well, let me just say to all of you, this is a real privilege, Pascal. It's an honor. And for the likes of what I've seen so far, and because of all of you, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great to try to change the world, yes, to improve the world, yes, but together, which is the only way that we can succeed. So again, let me just join all the praise that, you know, I've discovered, Pascal, with experience over the years, that there is no amount of praise that a man can take, you know. It's just incredible. But in this case, very well deserved, I have to say. So thank you all very much.
We would now like to call on the rest of the members of the Executive Committee on stage to take a quick group picture with Pascal and everyone else. And we look this way. note that I wanted to highlight is it was actually Pascal who also insisted that we talk about the effect that COVID has had on people's mental health and pushed a lot for those conversations to happen. So we've all discussed, obviously, his fortress when it comes to governance, but I thought it was important to mention that to paint a complete picture. With that, I just want to say to all of you that have joined us over the course of the 2 days, thank you so much. Please, please, please do me a favor, go find out about all the projects, the 60 projects that we have showcased over the course of the 2 days. Please ask them how you can support their work because they carry on the legacy of the forum beyond these 2 days. Thank you to all of you who've shown up here with your time and your dedication and your commitments, and that have helped us make the forum a great success. Thank you to the entire Paris Peace Forum Secretariat that is here, who have put this show together, to our organizing committee, our foundational partners. Thank you to all of you. Please continue believing in the mission of the forum, and we will see you for the 6th edition of Paris Peace Forum. Just thank you so much.